Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? We all heard the pop. Heard around the football world? Too soon. Too soon on AA, Ron? Too soon, maybe? You good with it?
I'm good with it.
Good with it?
Yeah, I mean,
Muse is salty today.
it's been, look, it's been, what, 8, 12 hours? You're good. News has been confirmed. We all know what it was.
What it was is that Aaron Rodgers is out for the year. Confirmed now by the Jets. Torn Achilles, which, as a random aside, has always terrified me. That seems like that's the most excruciating injury to have is a torn Achilles. From someone who has severely strained his Achilles and been in a walking boot, the thought of tearing my Achilles is devastating. Anyway, so an MRI confirmed torn Achilles for Aaron Rodgers. And for the Jets, they have a real question that they have to answer right now, and that's, are they going to be committed to Zach Wilson? I think you probably know where I'm going with this. Now, I know Adam Schefter just tweeted a bit ago, for those that haven't seen it, that Robert Saleh, and this is 8 minutes ago as we stand here on this Tuesday, this was tweeted at 2:56 p.m. Central Time. Robert Saleh, quote, "This is Zach Wilson's team." So, Robert Saleh standing by the guy that they drafted 2 overall for now. That, to me, is a little bit laughable, considering you were not standing by Zach Wilson when you went and traded for Aaron Rodgers. It's clearly not his team. What do we always say? Actions speak louder than words. Your actions show that you did not have faith in Zach Wilson to be able to lead this team, hence why you went and signed Aaron Rodgers in the first place. So all of this comes down to now, because ultimately the Jets have got to add somebody. The only other quarterback they have is Tim Boyle on the practice squad. Who is Tim Boyle? I mean, Muse, I'm not even going to pull... I'm not even going there with Tim Boyle.
Are you sure?
I don't know Tim Boyle.
Are you sure you're not
I never heard of Tim Boyle.
You go there with everybody.
Not Tim Boyle.
All right.
Oh, that Tim Boyle.
Oh, see, here it is. Yeah, of course. Of course.
Coincidentally, Tim Boyle, out of, where he played collegiately? Any idea?
Let's go with the University of South Dakota.
No, Xavier. No, I'm sorry. That was
in New Orleans?
That was his high school, Xavier in Middletown, Connecticut. Oh. Then he went to UConn and then transferred to Eastern Kentucky. Played on that red field up there. Yeah. So, in that Eastern Kentucky, was that
That's
Eastern Washington?
Eastern
Washington. Yeah, Eastern Kentucky, not as interesting. Nonetheless, played for the Packers, the Lions, the Bears. It's the whole NFC North, except for Minnesota, and then the Jets. So Tim Boyle has played in a total of 37. No, that was in college. He played in 37 collegiate games. He has played in 16 NFL games in total. He has attempted 106 passes. That's the only other quarterback on your roster. So if you are the Jets, very clearly you have got to consider all options. And there are a lot of people opining today on what the Jets may do. Now, the most obvious one and the name that everybody's going to mention is Tom Brady. Could they get Tom Brady out of retirement? And I think if you're the Jets, if you're Joe Douglas, you have literally got to call everybody. You have to call everybody that might even be remotely interested who could make your team better. That means you call Tom Brady. That means you call Matt Ryan. Joe Flacco today has expressed interest in coming back to the Jets, where he was a backup prior. There's a lot of different options. Now, the word on Brady, or at least the scuttle on Brady, is that he likely wouldn't play for the Jets. being that they're in the same division as the Patriots. You just had this great celebration in New England. Now he's going to come and play for a division rival. I mean, who would do that? Brett Favre. But not everyone has those allegiances. It appears Tom Brady does, and maybe he wouldn't come out of retirement to play for the Jets. We've seen Carson Wentz floated out there. Of course, Joe Douglas is the former GM in Philly. They had Carson Wentz there. And so you've got some potential ties there. But one of the names that continues to pop up in every search about this is Jameis Winston. And Jameis is intriguing because, in theory, the Jets could get him relatively inexpensive. You have a young veteran who has been very patient for the last 3 years. He sat behind Drew Brees in 2020. In 2021, he took over as the starter and was 5-2 before he tore his ACL. We were all excited about him coming back a year ago. Michael Thomas healthy. Jarvis Landry signed as a free agent. We're all excited about it a year ago. And then, of course, he literally broke his back and then had a foot injury, and he was basically done for the year. So now, after basically watching and battling through tough injuries over the last 3 years, is it time for Jameis to reemerge and play somewhere? It's not going to happen in New Orleans. The Saints have hitched their wagon to Derek Carr. So if you're New Orleans, the question really is, would you trade Jameis to the Jets to get something for him instead of having him walk in free agency next year? What would that trade look like? Number one. Number two, if you did that, are you okay with your current quarterback situation? Remember, Jake Hayner's out for 6 weeks because of suspension, which means Taysom essentially would become your backup quarterback. So if you traded Jameis, you wouldn't really have a backup if you wanted Taysom to continue in his slash sort of role. Maybe you could find someone that could be sort of that emergency quarterback role. What could the Saints get for Jameis Winston? Hypothetically, there have been several high-profile quarterback trades recently, namely among them the Aaron Rodgers trade from Green Bay to the Jets. Matt Stafford as well. Remember, when Matthew Stafford was sent from the Lions to the Rams said Jared Goff, 2 1s and a 3. So that was a starting quarterback, 2 first-round picks, and a 3. When Russell Wilson got sent from Seattle to Denver, Denver gave up 2 1s, 2 2s, a 5, and 3 players, including Noah Fant, who's a really good player. So you're talking about way more capital than what we would be discussing with Jameis Winston. Probably the most recent quarterback trade is the one that would make the most sense, and that was Trey Lance. The Niners shipped the former number 3 overall pick in the draft to Dallas for a 4th-round pick. And I think that would be suitable compensation. If you were the Saints and you were willing and the Jets called you and offered a 4 for Jameis Winston, would you take it? And today, I would, for 2 reasons. Number one, you've basically, if you're the Saints, you've shown your hand that Jameis is not going to be your guy. Does he give you a very viable backup? Absolutely. But you've shown your hand in saying he's not our starter. Okay, here's an opportunity to get an asset for someone that's not going to play for you. That's appealing, number one. Number two, if something were to happen to Derek Carr, what is this season going to be anyway? You're essentially back to the drawing board. So I don't know what the Jets think about Jameis Winston. I don't know if they would be remotely interested. Now, if their GM is worth a darn, he's making every call about every possible player. But if he calls the Saints about Jameis, and the Saints could turn that into a mid-round pick, I think you have to take an asset in exchange for a guy that's not playing for you. We'll follow it closely, but this is something that could get intriguing in the coming days. If not this week, maybe in the relatively near future, based on how Zach Wilson performs with the Jets, because they have a roster that they feel is ready to compete, except now at the quarterback position. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.